a crap ton of things. Give me one of them. It is the rise over run, which we can only find on a graph, yes? Without the graph, you cannot see a rise over a run. So that's wonderful if we have the graph, but it's not always going to be graphed. What else is slope? Right. It's the change in y over the change in x. And we remember that triangle means delta, which means change. You will see that a ton in physics. If you choose to take physics next year, you will see delta this, delta that, delta everything. It's all over the place in physics. Anybody got another one? Right, the change in the dV over the change in the IV. If I'm not graphing something on the Cartesian plane that is all y's and x's, you might want to remember that it is also this. Two other things. You saw it written in an equation. We only spent the whole last period working with that equation. M. M. If you see the letter M in an equation, it's the slope. Sometimes. One other thing I showed you yesterday. It's a mathematical way to find this if you don't have a graph. Right. What? Nope. That's how you find the dV and the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. All of that is slope, which means they are all interchangeable. Do you all understand that? So you all saw this formula, y equals mx plus b. That m, you can put any of these things in for m. Everybody with me? All right. So let's make sure everybody's cool. I've asked you to draw 4 lines on this graph. I'm going to use 4 different colors. You are going to draw 4 different lines. Please notice some are positive, some are negative, some are 0. If you do not remember, you should check your notes or ask your neighbor. Please draw 4 lines. Go. Does it matter where you start each line? No, of course not. But for organizational purposes, let's put E there. Let's put F down in this corner. Let's put G over here. And let's put H down in the bottom corner. Okay? Go. I'll wait a moment while you try to figure that out. So how do I do E? Mr. Mars, I know how to do E. Yes, you do. I said I wanted a slope of 2/5. What version of slope fits that format? 2/5. Rise over run. So if I put a dot anywhere in this corner, I should be able to draw this, right? Everybody will have started their dot in a different spot, correct? So I'm going to put my first dot right there. Oh, how did that happen? I know how it happened. This thing's a piece of garbage. Now, how do I do rise over run? What's rise? What? I haven't drawn it yet. I've only put 1 dot. Rise is 2. How do I get a rise of 2? I have 2 options for rising, don't I? I can go up or I can go down. If it's positive, I usually like to go up, correct? So I'm going to go up 1, 2. There's my rise. What's a run? right or left. If I've gone this to be positive, I have to keep positive, so I must go in what direction? Right. How far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there is my line. 2 positive, 5 positive. Did everybody draw it properly? Obviously, your dots aren't going to be the same as mine because you had an infinite amount of choice there. Well, you didn't really. You had 25 points you could have started on. F. What do I know about that? Does that fit any of our forms? Technically, it fits which one, Aiden? Rise over run, because that's really -4/1, isn't it? So I can put a dot anywhere in here. I'm going to put my dot right there. How do I do a rise of -4? I got to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. -4. Then how do I keep it negative? Everybody says over 1. Right or left? If I go left, I'm going to have negative and negative. What does that give me? A positive. I got to keep it negative, so I got to go right to get this slope. Everybody good? If I had gone up 4, then I would have had to go where? Left. Good. What's a 0 slope? Is that the one that kills you if you try to ski it? Or is that the one that is really, really boring? You got to hop along on your snowboard. It's that one. So which is that? Flat or vertical? Flat, because that's the boring, lame one. 0 rise over an infinite run. Right? And finally, 7. Put a dot. Is it positive or negative? Positive. So to go up or down first? Up if I have room. What if I have no room on the graph? If I were to put the 7 up there, would I try to go up or would I go down? I'd just go down, right? So from here, I'm at the bottom, so I'm going to go up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then where? Which one there, Ben? Right one. Why? Because it's got to be positive 1. Please notice, as the numbers get higher, the slope gets steeper, which is another hint to remind you that a straight up and down slope must be infinity. Right? Yay! You guys are brilliant. Now, we're going to do this 2 ways. We're going to zoom in so you can see it better. Where is this dot? How do I find that dot to put on the graph? Where do I go? Somebody talk to me. 30 brains. Somebody can put a point on the graph. Left 5 from where? The center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then where? Down 3. 1, 2, 3. Doodle-doo. And then where do I put this dot? Right 2, up 1. And I make that line, correct? Once I have a line on a graph, it's super easy to find the slope, isn't it? Choose any 2 points and do what? I connect them, but then I need the slope. Count. It's not that hard. What do I count first, rise or run? Doesn't matter as long as you remember that rise is the numerator, right? So if I'm going to go rise over run, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 4. Then I'm going to go this way. How far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Positive. So what is this guy's slope? 4/7. Please understand, slope is not a measurement. This is not 4/7 centimeters or anything like that. Slope is a value. It's not something we measure. Is everybody cool with the difference? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. You guys do the next one. Go. Was everybody good? This, of course, is the slope that kills you if you try to ski down it, right? An infinite slope. It's not the hoppy, 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 hoppy. It's the woo! Okay? All right. Now, what did these two examples, questions, whatever you want to call them, what did they have in common? What did I do in both the red and the blues? They were written in the same format. And where did we put them? Where did we put them? On a graph. When they're on the graph, all we got to do is count. Can everybody find the slope from a line on the graph? You are all comfortable counting. Excellent. Look at the next page. What's different about K and L? Did I give you a graph? No. So if there's no graph, do we have another way to find slope? Look at all 5 ways we have. Don't turn your page back. I'll show you right now. Which of those 5 will work when I have just 2 points? The last one. Why? Because I got an X and a Y there and an X and a Y there. And what do I have here? An X and a Y and an X and a Y. But I can't call them both X and Y, can I? Because if I do Y minus Y, what do I get? 0. And X minus X is what? If I do X minus X, what do I have? 0. So I can't call them both Y and X, so I have to give them other names. Y1 and Y2. Who decides which is Y1 and which is Y2? You do. It doesn't matter. Everybody with me? So every single one of you right now, without talking to your neighbor and without saying it out loud, write Y2 above one of the Y values. So either 7 or 1. Name one of them Y2. Has everybody written Y2? Good. I don't care where you wrote it. Don't tell me. I'm making this guy Y2. If this guy is Y2, what is his buddy? X1 or X2? X2. Which makes these guys what? X1 and Y1. Is everybody with me? If you don't have it labeled the way I have it labeled, do not worry. Trust me. Watch what will happen. Remember, slope M equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. In my list, what is Y2? 7. So I'm going to write 7 minus, what is Y1? 1. That's what I have. You have either that or you have 1 minus 7. Agreed? Everybody in the room should have one of those two right now, correct? Now, My one that's in blue. What is x2? 2 minus what is x1? Negative 6. If you're the other person, you have negative 6 minus what? 2. What is 7 minus 1? 6. What is 2 minus 6? 8. What is 1 minus 7? Negative 6. What is negative 6 minus 2? Negative 8. What do two negatives give me when I divide them? Positive. And what do you see about the slopes? It's going to work out the same way. The only thing you have to do is remember that whatever you choose to make y1 or y2, his partner is the same. Does everybody understand this? And then the other mistake that you guys make is this right here. You don't recognize or remember that it's minus whatever the value is. And if you write it out, it's hard to do wrong. But if you start thinking in your head, oh, I got to subtract a negative, is it add? But if you write it out, it's really difficult to do it wrong. Everybody with me? Try the second one. I'll do both ways again. All right? I'll do in blue, x2, y2, x1, y1. And in red, I'll make this guy x1, y1, and x2, y2. While you're working yours out, I'll do this so both ways show. You try yours, go. Pardon me? Oh no, you would simplify that. For sure you would. But you're giving me away again. It's okay. Is everybody done? Avery, what was your slope? Negative 11 over 4 is perfectly correct. You should have one of those two. They are the exact same thing because they will both take you to the same spot on the graph. Is everybody good? Excellent. Or is it violent? I know, right? Stop it. It's too early for this much hilarity. Your stomach muscles aren't ready to laugh this much yet. All right. Is number 3, are all these lines on the graph? So I can count, can't I? Right. So let's look at A. What is wrong with going from that point to that point on A? You don't actually know the values, do you? Because this point is not at a corner, is it? And this point is not at a corner, is it? I'm going to slide down this line. Somebody tell me where a good point to stop would be. There. Now tell me another good point to stop.
There. No.
No more down. Stop.
There.
Now, what do we know about lines? How far do they go? Till infinity, right? So a whole line, if it's a true line, is never going to change, is it? So if I know the slope of part of the line, do I know the slope of the whole line? I do, right? So how do I find this slope now? It's on a graph, so what do? I just count. What do I count first, rise or run? Rise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Positive or negative? How did you know it was positive 7? Because I went up. Positive 7. Agreed? It'll show up in a sec. Then what? Run. Negative 2. How'd you know that was negative? Because I went left. So what's this guy's slope? 7 over 2. Negative. Can the negative be with the numerator? Can the negative be with the denominator? Can the negative be right in the middle? Can the negative be at both? No. Is everybody good? What if you started from this point and said, Mr. Myers, I like to start at the top. Okay, do rise first. What's this? Negative 7. What's this? Positive 2. Same value. Everyone cool? Great. What's C? Death or boring? Death. So what slope is that? Undefined or 0? Undefined. What's this one? Death or boring? Boring. So what slope is it? 0. You guys do B. Go. See, I told you, it's too early. You're all sore. You flex your thighs when you laugh? Weird. Oh, yeah? Can't spell legendary without leg day. It's one of my favorite gags on Brooklyn Nine-Nine when Sarge is flexing his ears. He doesn't. Well, I can move my ears, but... So he's flexing his ears, and Jake says... Even your ears have muscles or something like that. And Sarge says, never forget ear day, Jake. Bad news, Brooklyn Nine-Nine was canceled. But it's saved. NBC is saving it. I know, I was worried. It was sad.
But it's too good of a show to actually go.
Well, it will go eventually. All good shows go. Yeah, but it isn't ready yet. All right, what's the slope of B? Who's got a slope for B for me? 9 9/4. Does everybody have that? Are we happy with 9/4? Most people go from there to there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So everyone's happy with 9/4. That's rise over run. Of course it's 4 over 9. You guys don't know this about me yet? Ayaka, what goes in the numerator? Rise or run? What goes in the numerator of a slope? Is it rise over run or is it run over rise? So what should have been your fraction? 4/9. Positive 4, positive 9. Is everybody... Yes, Avery. Thank you. I was trying to go ahead and hope somebody would catch me. Why is this one difficult? What if Avery said, but Mr. Myers, I think this dot is right on the corner. And I think this dot is right on the corner. Then it would be 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2/5, wouldn't it? So why is finding slope this way not the best way to find it? Because it comes down to your judgment, doesn't it? So how do you show me that you understand slope? Because it could be either one of these. I would give both of those full marks. So how do you show me you deserve full marks? No. Just do this. Pick 2 dots and show me that you know it's rise and run. Everybody understand? Awesome. Can you do 4 by yourself? There's your graph. Can you give me a triangle where all 3 sides have a positive slope? Great. Everybody needs to do it. I got to have a starting point, right? Go from a starting point and go from there. You got one? Can you draw a positive line? One side positive? Yeah. Great, so do that. I'm going to put my first dot here. How would I make that a positive slope, Elijah? Up and right. So if I put a dot right there, do I have a positive slope? Excellent. Now this is my new starting point. Can you make me a positive slope from there? Sure you can. From there, what did you do from here? You went up and right. So can I go up and right from here? Okay, so I'm going to go up and right. If I go way, way up here and then way over here, would I have a positive slope? Okay. That's positive, isn't it? Now connect the line. Is that up and right? So do I have 3 positive length? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Is everybody good with slope? All right. When you turn the page over, you're going to do the first thing that for some reason makes things difficult for my students. Find the x and y intercepts of this and graph it. So we're now going to put together both lessons we've done. What are the coordinates of every x-intercept? X and 0. X, 0. What are the coordinates of every y-intercept? 0, y. This value is an x value. This value is what? A y value. This value is what? X value. This value is what? Y value. What letter is that? X. What letter is that? Y. Do you have values you can put in for x and y? So can you find what x is and what y is? How? By putting those numbers where? Into the equation. So, x is still x. What would I write right there? 3x, right? Because x is x. 3x minus 2, what's y? 0 plus 8 equals 0. Do we know how to solve that? 3x minus 0 plus 8. 3x plus 8 equals 0. What do I got to do with that 8? I got a minus 8. Where else? Other side. 3x equals negative 8. What does x equal? Negative 8 over 3. Can everybody do that algebra? Okay, now, if x equals that, what can I now write there instead of x? Negative 8 thirds. Should I put that on the graph now? Why not, Ryan? It's a fraction, and I have to change the scale. I might have to change the y scale, so I'm going to wait a second. Everybody understand? Now, what do I do here? What goes in for x? 0. So it's 3 times 0 minus 2. What goes for y? Y, because y is y. plus 8 equals 0. The 0 goes away. Negative 2y plus 8 equals 0. Minus 8 minus 8. Negative 2y equals negative 8. What does y equal? 4. So what can I write there instead of y? No? It's positive because negative 8 divided by negative 2. So what can I write there? 4. Now, do I have 2 points to put on the graph? Yes, I have negative 8/3, 0. And I have 0, 4. Which one of those is a pain in the butt to put on the graph? Negative 8/3. So what can I do to make my life easier? What do I make each of these squares worth on the x-axis? If I make this 1 and this 2, it's a pain. How can I make it better? Make it a third. So how far do I go before I write my number 1? 3 squares. 1, 2, 3. There's 1. Is it the same going the other way now? So there's negative 1. I need to go 8/3. So how many squares that way do I need to go? Each square is 1/3. So how far to the left do I need to go? 8. Because I got to go 8/3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my dot. Does everyone understand what I did there? Are you shaking your head? No, you don't understand? Do you understand that each square is now worth 1/3? Do you understand that this means 8/3? So do you understand how 8 squares is 8/3? So what don't you understand? We're not going to move the other point. I asked if everybody understood this. Does everybody understand what I did with the x-axis? Yes. Can I do that on the y-axis? No, because I got to get all the way up to 4, don't I? Which would mean I would need 12 squares, yes? I do not have 12 squares, do I? So I cannot change the y scale. The y scale stays at 1. So I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Is everybody cool? Now here is what's going to mess you up. If I ask you for this slope, and it's on the graph, how many of you are going to count squares? Don't lie. You're all going to count squares, aren't you? Right? I went up. How far? How far up did I go? 4. How far this way did I go? I went 8 squares, but I didn't go 8. How far this way did I go? 8/3. So what's the slope really? 4 divided by 8/3. Does everybody understand that? When you're doing slope, you have to care about values. If you've changed the scale, you have to know how far you've moved, not just how many squares. Does everyone understand that? Everybody? Okay. You'll notice that I've drawn the triangle every single time, haven't I? If you draw the triangle every single time, is it possible to do this wrong? No, because it's rise 4 divided by run 8/3. Now you got to punch that into your calculator. It's a little difficult, but you'll know how to figure it out. I'm sorry, what? Its slope is part of trigonometry. That's tangent is slope, right? The tan of this angle opposite over adjacent is the slope. Usually people take a little longer to catch that. Michael, well done.
Thank you.
Okay. Next. What do I have in number 6? What do I have there and there? I have an X and a Y. What do I have there and there? I have an X and a Y. What do I have there? A 2 that is what? It's a slope, right? What is another? Doesn't slope equal M? So, do I have any of my methods of finding slope that use 2 X's, 2 Y's, and a slope? What is it? M equals Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. Do I have a bunch of those numbers? Yes. Could I figure it out with algebra? Yes. We're going to do that in a second. I also have a graph here. Could I use the graph? Sure I could, because I know that point, don't I? Where is that point? How do I get there? 2 to the right, 1, 2, and up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Does everyone agree? And I know my other point is where? It's somewhere, 1, 2, 3, 4, on this line, right? Where x equals negative 4. Does everyone agree? Do I know the slope? It's positive 2. Could I find the slope on a graph? I got 2 ways to find it, don't I? What do I know about the slope from this point? It's positive 2. I got to get over to here, though. So would I go up and right or down and left? Down and left. How far do I got to go, Evan? Well, if I go down 2 and over 1, am I here yet? If I go down 2 and over 1, am I here yet? Down 2 over 1, am I there? Down 2 over 1, still not there. Down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, am I there? So do I now know the y value? What is it? That's tough to see, I know. I should zoom in. It is negative 6. Everybody cool? So I know this value equals negative 6 from counting on a graph. Are we always going to be able to count on a graph? No. Are all of our coordinates on a graph going to be perfect numbers? Or is it possible to have decimals? So we also have to know how to do this with algebra. Let's do this with algebra. What goes in for M? Read the question. What goes in for M? 2. But slope is rise over run, isn't it? So shouldn't I make that a fraction? How do I make it a fraction? 2 over 1. Exactly what Maria did. Well done. I can read sign language. I can't really. But now, what does that equal? What is y2? Who decides? You decide. So which is y2? Somebody volunteer. You're going to make 6y2. All right, so that's y2, so that's y1, right? So what do I write first? 6 minus y over what? 2 minus 4, correct? Now simplify. 2 over 1 equals 6 minus y. What's 2 minus 4? 6. How do I solve that? Please notice this is another algebra problem, right? What do you do every time you have fraction equals fraction? I've showed you this a million times. You multiply these. What is 6 times 2? 12 equals, what's 1 times 6? 1 times y? Y. And then you solve this. What do I have to do with that 6 to get y by itself? Subtract 6 from both sides. What's 12 minus 6? 6 equals negative y. How do I get rid of that negative? Divide by what? Negative 1. So what do I do here? Divide by negative 1. And what does y equal? Negative 6. And what did we know y equaled from counting? Can everybody do this? You can find it by counting, or you can find it by algebra. Look at the next question. Can you do it? Do I have some points? So do I have an x2 and a y2 and an x1 and a y1? Do I have a slope? So can I find this with algebra? Okay, so what do I write? M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What goes in for m? Negative 3 over 2 equals, what's y2? 5 minus what? Over, what's x2? Negative 1 minus x. Then what do I do? Simplify and solve, right? How do I simplify 5 minus minus 4? 9 equals negative 1 minus x. Now what do? I cross. What's 9 times 2? 18 equals what's negative 3 times negative 1? 3. Negative 3 times negative x. Positive 3x. What do I do with that 3? No, the first 3. Add. Subtract 3, subtract 3. 15 equals 3x. Then what? What does x equal? 5. Everybody cool? Now remember, this is what I was talking about with William yesterday, Friday. Are you having a problem with the algebra, or are you having a problem with how you make this? Does everybody understand how I go from that to that? Yes. I just sub the numbers in, correct? Then it's just algebra. If you are bad at algebra, what magical block happens this week? X block. X block, you're bad at algebra. What should you do? Come here or any other math or science teacher, because they will all teach you basic algebra. But you must show up and you must practice it. Because if you understand how to make this, that's the grade 10 stuff. If you don't know how I got to x plus 5, that's not up to me. You're already supposed to know that. I should have been able to stop here for every one of you. Now, find it with the graph. Where do I put this point? The blue point goes where? How do I put the blue point on the graph? Left, how far? 1. Up, how far? 5. Left 1, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Agreed? What do I know about the other point on the graph that's going to be red? Do I know anything about it? No, Avery, if we hadn't done the algebra, do we know anything about this point? We know that the y is negative 4. So the y, 1, 2, 3, 4, has to be somewhere on this dotted line. Agreed? Yeah. Now, do we know anything else about the line that will connect this blue dot to the red dot? It's got a slope. A slope of what? Negative 3 halves. How do I do a slope of negative 3? Or a rise of negative 3? Down, 1, 2, 3. And then what? Over, right or left? Right, because I've done my negative. 1, 2. Am I at the red line yet? So what do I got to do? I got to go again. Where? Same. Down, 1, 2, 3, and right, 1, 2. Am I at the red line yet? No. Down, 1, 2, 3, over 1, 2. Am I at the red line?
Yeah.
So this is the point I care about, right? What's my x value? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is everybody good? Can you do this with the graph? Can you figure out the equation for algebra? So all we need to practice is this part of it, right? So let's do so. Do the next one. Just set it up. Set it up first. And then we'll talk about algebra. Set it up first and do the graph. Then we'll come back and do the algebra together. If you need to. If you feel you've got it, go on to number 9. If you get that, go on to page 188. If you think you might have it, cheat a little. Copy off your neighbor. But here's the way I think of it. What do I see right there? I see x's and y's, right? So I know I've got x1, y1, x2, y2. And what's this? That's my slope. But it's not a fraction, so what should I do to it? I should make it a fraction, 3 over 1. Now I've got a rise and a run. And I know that slope m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And now I just fill it in. What goes in for m? Don't say it out loud, just do it. Is everybody at the point where they need to do algebra? At least. Okay, do you have something that looks like this? One of these two. You might have 7 minus minus 5. Is everybody cool? Now, once I have fraction equals fraction, what do I do? Cross them over. What's 1 times negative 12? Negative 12. What's 3 times negative x? Negative 3x. How do I get rid of negative 3 times x? I divide by negative 3. If I do this to the right side, what do I got to do to the left side? Negative 3. What's negative 12 divided by negative 3? Positive 4 equals x. Is everybody good? Now, let's prove it on the graph. Do I know some points on this graph? I know 0 and negative 5. Right? and the other one is x7. So I know that it's got to hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's got to hit somewhere on this dotted line, yes? Because that's 7. And I know I've got a slope of 3. So how do I do a slope of 3 from here? It's positive, so where's my rise? Up. 1, 2, 3. What's my run? Right? How far? 1. Am I at the red line yet? Nope. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. Am I at the red line? What's my x value? 1, 2, 3, 4. Did we do our math correctly? Yes. Now, we have done 3 questions using algebra, and they've all been correct, right? We've proven it with a graph, yes? So if something happens 3 times in math, what's that mean? It'll happen all the time. So if we can do the algebra 3 times, can we always do the algebra? So do we ever need a graph anymore? As long as I have what? A slope and how many of the 4 points? Because I need 2 x's and 2 y's, right? How many do I need if I know the slope? 3. If I know any 3 of them, I can find this answer, right? Try the last one because it's the hardest one. Again, if you know what you're doing, just go on to page 188. If you don't, again, I can't stress this enough. If you write it out, it's not that difficult. Yep. Please do. If you have been following along, you should have a y value for number 9. What about that makes it difficult to prove this one on the graph? It goes off the graph, and it's a fraction. So it makes it really hard, doesn't it? But we can solve this, right? What if I make every one of these numbers 2? Can you do it then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, still not on the graph, but yeah. Well, it is on the graph.
So our first point is at -3, -2. Well, that's -3, -2. It'd be right in the middle there, wouldn't it? -2, 4, -3, and -2. Each square is worth 2. Everybody cool? The other one has to be at 2 on the x-axis. So somewhere on this line. Do we agree? And I got a slope of 5/2. 5/2 makes it difficult, doesn't it? Because each square is worth 2 points. So 5/2 is yucky. But can I do 10/4? Then it's easy, isn't it? How do I go up 10? What's 1 square worth? 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yes? And 4 right. How far is that? 1, 2. I'm not quite at the red line, am I? I'm not, am I? So I got to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more and over 1, 2. 2 in the middle there. There's my line. And it crosses right there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and a little bit. Did we do it right? 10.5. Are we all good? All right. Now, I know I've said this a million times this year, but the next 3 units, this one and the next 2, you cannot do them if you cannot do this. So if you have been following your usual path of homework, and I put that in air quotes, now is the time to break that habit. If you do one piece of homework all year, do this one. Because not understanding the slope and the substitution here is going to ruin the next 3 units for you. Do I make myself clear? You got 13 minutes right now. Do something before you leave. Because the second you walk out that door, 95% of you aren't going to do another ounce of math. So use your next 13 minutes. Because you know as well as I do if you're a member of that 95%. Go. Yes.